So I planned a sexy date with my boyfriend the other night, and then I took the sex part completely off the table. And what happened next is actually why I will never call it a sex date ever again. Now, if you are in a long-term relationship, you've probably heard this advice many times. Schedule sex. And honestly, I'm completely on board with that principle because here is the truth about long-term relationships that nobody warns you about. Life is really good at swallowing intimacy whole. All right, you got work, you got kids, stress, exhaustion, the 10,000 small logistics of sharing a life with someone. It is so easy to look up one day and realize weeks have gone by and you and your partner have barely touched each other. So yes, my friends, intentional intimacy is a thing and I am here for it. Scheduling it, prioritizing it, protecting it, all of that matters. But here is what I have learned recently and what I want to talk to you about today, because there is a real downside to scheduling sex that nobody talks about enough. But before we get into it, I just want to say hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Allie. I'm a sex education student with the Sexual Health Alliance. And just like you, I am learning all the time about sex, intimacy, relationships, my body, how to be. And I come on here and I share with you those learnings. And I also like to experiment a little with spicy stuff. I share some of that on here as well because a lot of you are curious about some spicy activities, and so am I. So I kind of like to try stuff and share it with you to give you a little bit of an idea of how it can go if it's maybe something that you're also looking to try. So yeah, if you're new here, give it a like, subscribe, whatever. And there's also a link down below to a mailing list. Now think of this as an emergency contact me button in case for whatever reason my YouTube disappears one day, we can find each other again. Okay, let's get into the video. So when you put sex night on the calendar, it becomes something you have to do. And the moment sex becomes an obligation, anxiety trickles in, and that's such a crappy feeling. Suddenly it's like Tuesday, and you know what Tuesday means, and your brain starts running its checklist. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, scheduling it will build anticipation and you have something to look forward to and you guys can send each other flirty little sex throughout the day or a little spicy selfie and get yourself a little cute outfit and all that stuff. But your mind could be also thinking, am I in the mood? Should I be in the mood? What if I'm not? What if he's expecting something I can't deliver? What if she's expecting something I can't deliver? And now the thing that was supposed to bring you closer is just quietly stressing you the F out. Does this sound familiar? Here's where it gets really interesting, friends, because the science of desire, especially for women, completely reframes this whole conversation. There's a book, it's called Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, which, by the way, if you are a man, I highly recommend that you read this book to learn about female sexuality so you could learn how to be a better lover, and it would also really impress your partner. So she introduced one of the most important concepts I have ever come across, and that is the difference between spontaneous and responsive desire. I actually did a video about this many moons ago. You can check that out, but I'll re-explain it here. So spontaneous desire is what we see in movies, right? So you look at your partner across the room and you're like, damn, they're hot. I just want to F them. You get instantly hard or instantly wet, just comes out of nowhere, fully formed. This is how desire is most commonly depicted. And it is also, according to Nagoski's research, more common in men than in women. Now, responsive desire is different. It doesn't arrive first. It arrives in response to something. So like touch, atmosphere, vibes, connection, sensation. The arousal comes after the engagement begins, not before. And here's the thing, our entire cultural script around sex assumes spontaneous desire is just the default. So when you don't feel turned on before anything has even started, you assume something is wrong with you. You assume you're broken, or your relationship is broken, or your libido has packed its bags and left. I've definitely felt like that sometimes. But I'm here to tell you, my friends, you are not broken. I am not broken. You might just be someone whose desire is responsive, and that changes everything about how you approach intimacy, especially in long-term relationships. So another great book by Esther Perel, Mating in Captivity. Again, for those married long-term relationships, I highly recommend you read it. She goes even further, all right. She argues that long-term relationships, we're talking things like the safety, the comfort, that deep familiarity can actually work against your desire. Not because your love has faded, but because desire needs like a little bit of mystery, a little bit of anticipation, you know, a little aliveness to thrive. And those things require intention to create when you've been with someone for years, right? I want you to think of like when you first met your partner, when you first meet someone, those butterflies, those like, oh my God, I can't wait to be with them, kiss them, F them, all that stuff. And when you've been with someone for years, sometimes you just want to lay next to them, you just want to cuddle, but you don't want to have like a full-on fuck session. You know what I mean? So this brings me back to the Tuesday night and Paris and the blindfold. Now you're probably like, what the hell are you talking about, Ali? But I'm gonna get personal here for a second because I think it matters. So Gab and I have been in a season lately where the intimacy has slowed down. You know, we've been together for about 7 years now. And part of that's life. You know, I love him. We have a lot of fun together. We travel a lot together. We have so many adventures. But yeah, the intimacy has shifted than what it once was. But part of it is also something new that I'm still learning to navigate because my body is changing. You know, I'm getting a little bit older. I'm turning 40 this year. Yeah, like I don't get as quickly aroused as I used to. So I definitely resonate with that spontaneous versus responsive desire because definitely need a lot more warming up than I did before. And that is completely normal, but it has taken me definitely a lot of time to understand, and reading books like this and studying sexuality, and even more time to start communicating it to Gab, because if I don't understand it, how the hell am I supposed to explain it to somebody else, right? Because I mean, here's the thing. He's not a mind reader. He doesn't know what my body needs right now if I don't tell him. What we were doing before was clearly working very well, but things have changed. You know, I haven't been mentioning it as much as I should. So sometimes we find ourselves both a little lost. So I suggested an intimacy date and he was in, and I decided to try something a little bit different. Now, we were in Paris, which already helped, let's be honest. It's like the most romantic city in the world. I know it's cliche, but it's true. And one early evening, it was time. And I scheduled the intimacy date. I said Tuesday at this time, intimacy night. And he was like, sure, I'm game. I put on some music and we both went to get ready. Gab went to take a shower and I also took a shower, and I chose like this little cute lingerie set that I had brought with me. And, you know, I decided to do this body scan, pleasure activation meditation thing on my own while he was showering, just to drop into my body, quiet my mind, and arrive in the room actually present rather than still half thinking about, you know, whatever I'd been doing an hour before, which is really helpful, by the way. I went on some random app on my phone that I usually use to sleep, and I looked for pleasure meditations. I found one. I was lying there. It was telling me to like touch my body and everything. And I was like, ooh, this is nice. So then I went in the room and I blindfolded myself and I sat at the edge of the bed, just like we discussed, and I waited. And I had told Gab beforehand, the intention tonight is not sex. I didn't want to have sex. There is no goal. I don't want to come. I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have penetration, nothing. There is nothing to achieve. I just want you to explore my body. Touch, massage, tease, breath, kisses, like take your time. We are not going anywhere. And he also had my permission to use like sensory stuff. Like, I don't know, we didn't have a feather, but like, I don't know what we had, like little material or things like, you know, body sensation stuff. Since I couldn't see, I really wanted to feel everything and different sensations on my body for 1 hour. And that's exactly what he did. And friends, I will tell you, by the end of that hour, I was so turned on, I was begging him to go down on me. Now, do you see what a difference that makes? Because I felt that difference for sure, like begging him to go down on me. The moment I removed the destination entirely, I felt like my body finally had the space to actually arrive. No performance anxiety, no checklist, no pressure to be somewhere I wasn't yet, just sensation, presence, trust, and it was friggin' hot, I'll tell you that much. Now, that is a perfect example of responsive desire in action, and it is incredibly powerful once you understand it. So, here is my reframe, and I want you to steal it, okay? Again, I didn't invent this. This is stuff that I am learning, and I am sharing with you these learnings, so use it, okay? Like, I read the book, so you don't have to. So, stop calling it a sex date, start calling it an intimacy date, and deliberately take sex off the agenda. It'll be even hotter if you're the man and you're telling we're planning an intimacy date on Friday night, we are not having sex. You will be the receiver, I will be the giver. She's gonna be like, what? Like the second you take sex away from her as the option, she's gonna be like, oh, like now I want it. So just a little tip there. So I actually also told a friend this recently. So she just had a baby and she and her partner are like stressing out about when they're gonna have sex again. And I said, stop trying to have sex. Have an intimacy night instead. So blindfold one of you, get out the coconut oil, put some music on, let one person just give and one person just receive with zero expectation of sex at the end. So yeah, take the pressure away completely, because when you take it away, something interesting happens. Desire often just shows up on its own, not because you forced it, because you finally made enough space for it. Now, this brings me to something I want to shout out because her content is genuinely excellent. So there is a creator I follow called The Libido Fairy. She focuses on desire, intimacy, and helping couples reconnect. And she has this concept called King and Queen Night, where partners take turns planning and organizing a special evening entirely devoted to the other person. So the key is this: when it is your night to receive, you don't have to give anything back and you can fully let go. You can just be held, touched, cared for without the mental load of also thinking about your partner's experience at the same time. Like, for example, thinking like, oh, this is so nice, but like, okay, I need to keep my energy up because like after it's gonna be my turn to provide to him or her. See that little difference there? And so that, as I experienced in Paris, is one of the most relaxing and surprisingly arousing things you can do. Because so much of what blocks desire, especially for women, is mental load. So the moment that lifts, the body just follows. So go check out The Libido Fairy on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm pretty sure she's on every platform. Her content is the good stuff. All right, now you're probably thinking like, ooh, that sounds really cool. I'd love to try that, but how the hell am I gonna do this? Let's make this actionable, because I don't want you to just nod along and then like do nothing. Okay, this is really something worth trying that can improve your life, your partner's life, future partners' lives. So here's how to actually set up an intimacy date that works. Set the intention together. Before the evening, agree on what this is. Sensory exploration, no goal, no pressure. Say it out loud. Sounds simple, but it matters enormously. Next, create the environment. Music, friends. Music creates a vibe, creates ambiance, gets emotions flowing. Can't recommend enough creating a sexy playlist for you and your partner. Then you got lighting. Make sure you have like soft lighting and not like surgical neon lights. You want a clean, comfortable space. These things signal to your nervous system that this is safe and intentional. And your body needs to feel held by the environment before it can relax into the experience. Now this one's a big one. Designate a giver and a receiver. So one person gives, the other person receives. The receiver does nothing except show up and feel, and the giver has full creative freedom. So massage, touch, breath, temperature play, feathers, oil, whatever feels right, whatever you've agreed upon. There's no agenda or no destination. And finally, taking sex off the table explicitly. Say it. Both of you say it. Both of you agree to it. This is the most important part. The moment there is no destination, you are free to actually enjoy the journey. You could also try a blindfold, which I highly recommend. So removing one sense heightens all your others. It also removes the self-consciousness of being watched, which for a lot of people makes it much easier to receive. And last but not least, give yourself time. So responsive desire doesn't just like show up in 10 minutes. An hour is not too long. It might be exactly right. All right, now that you've gotten the tips on what to do, here is what I want you to take away from all of this. Scheduling intimacy is not unromantic, friends. It is not a sign that your relationship is failing. It's actually one of the most loving things you can do, because you're basically saying this matters enough to protect. But the way we schedule it matters. Sex dates with a capital S can create a lot of pressure that works against the very thing we're trying to create. Maybe it'll work the first time, second time, but then over time, might not still have the same effect. Intimacy dates are slower, they're softer, they have no destination, and they can create the conditions where desire actually has room to grow. So your body is not broken if it takes time to warm up. You are not broken if desire doesn't arrive spontaneously. You might just need a little bit more space, a little bit more safety, and a little bit more time. And taking sex off the table might be exactly how you end up wanting it more than ever. I'm telling you, friends, tell her no sex. She's gonna be crawling all over you. All over you. All right, so I would love to hear from you. Have you ever tried scheduling intimacy with your partner? Has it helped or has it added pressure? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to go deeper on any of this, I talk about it a lot more over on my Patreon, which I am going to link below, where we have a lot of extra footage, where we have a lot of behind the scenes content. I share a lot more about my sex ed journey and a lot more about my pleasure travel. So thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you in the next video. Je vous aime.